Hey everyone, it's George from One Jiu-Jitsu. So today I've got an awesome guest. I'm joined by Alex Trujillo, who is a third degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and he's been training Jiu-Jitsu and MMA for the last 25 years plus, and coached world champions. And he's currently been Midwest Training Center in Illinois, which has been about for 19 years. You said,
yeah, we've been at this for quite a while. And with that introduction, it reminds me of all this gray I see in my beard now, and how long. And man, it's a blessing. It's been a blessing to be at it for this long. I've seen a lot of really awesome gyms, come and go, and it's a testament to what we're doing. To be here at this point, 19 years in. Next year, hitting our 20th anniversary. And to be honest, we're bigger than we've ever been. Our membership is greater than it's ever been. We're on a really amazing growth trajectory. Our athletes are more skilled than they've ever been in the previous generations before. And I've probably been through 4 or 5 generations of athletes now at this point. So it's really cool to see the business just continuing to grow, at this point in its life. It's exciting, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I find so interesting about, training jiu-jitsu and MMA as well, is like they're still young, and they do really promote innovation. And now with you do see some crazy shit on Instagram that might not be maybe the most the most sound, but like the spread of ideas and the development of the sport, it's so interesting to watch how quickly things change.
It makes it fun. It keeps bringing life to it. It is, I think, still in its, I won't say infant stages, but it's maybe not even in its adolescence, the sport as it's, I remember being in high school watching UFC 1, 2, and 3 and thinking like, man, this is awesome. Like, this is what I want to do, and this was in the 90s, and there wasn't a lot of options, just locally for anything like that, and what's really cool is, not far from me, there was a guy, Keith Hackney, who was in a couple of those first UFCs, and he was a Kenpo karate guy and stuff. But it gave maybe the illusion or the belief, fed to the belief that like, this could be attainable. There's a guy in Roselle who's not far, and he's, doing this. And then, I looked into it and found just a local jiu-jitsu place, and it was nothing compared to what it is nowadays, but it sparked that fire, it lit that fire. And, I at 20 years old, I started to seek it out on a much higher level, and, started to work towards some bigger names in the sport, and took my interests out towards California, out west, where I partnered with a guy named Fabiano Iha. And Fabiano at that time was in the UFC. He was part of Team Punishment, and Tito Ortiz was climbing the mountain to be one of the first great names in the sport, and his dominant light heavyweight reign, and Fabiano was part of that whole thing. And I got kind of connected with those guys on an affiliation base, so I would be going out there training some techniques and bringing it back here, and it brought me to led me to a point where I eventually moved out there for a couple of years, changed my direction. Fabiano had introduced me to another really amazing jiu-jitsu guy, Giuliano Prado, and he's still my head coach. He's 4th or 5th degree black belt under Brazilian top team in Merla Bustamante. And he's also had a lineage change, way back in the day. He was a Lotus Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and we all find our paths, and sometimes that off of this or off of that, but it leads us right to where we're supposed to be, and that's was the experience in the case for that. And so my jiu-jitsu is really my roots in this sport. It was the first real introduction I had to MMA, and it was my first love. And then one of my coaches from here introduced me to Thai boxing and Muay Thai, and also the concept of wrestling and dictating where that fight or that contest takes place, you know, and blending those in, I would say, to be honest, much earlier than some people. For a long time in the sport, everybody was still a specialist, and proving their craft was superior, you know, jiu-jitsu fighters and Muay Thai fighters and wrestlers. And of course they cross-trained, but I think the intent still was, you know, my sport's the best. Mine's dominant. And certainly that was the motivation of the Gracies, and in the introduction of the early UFCs, you know, to introduce the world to the sport, to their sport, and to capitalize on that, you know. And it's been a really cool journey to even reflect back on. You know, it's not as often like to think back about the origins of all of it. I run a really, you know, busy enterprise here, and most of the time I'm working on my day-to-day stuff, and it's cool, you know, it's cool to take that journey and to go back and look at the origins of not only Midwest Training Center, but my martial arts, you know, journey. So I've been through quite a few, a couple of good instructors, a handful of people that, you know, could have done without, but again, it all takes you to that next place, you know, and it's all a perfect journey in the end, if you ask me.
Yeah. And how did that lead to you, you know, coaching other people as well?
So I was a young man in the sport. I had a couple of mixed martial arts contests myself. This was like early 2000s, back in California. I was in a relationship that had what I thought run its course, and it allowed me the opportunity to pursue this to its fullest. So I moved to California, was all in, so to speak, and spent years out there, trained with Team Oyama, which Team Punishment sort of evolved into Team Oyama. Colin Oyama was my head coach, and I was on what I would consider like an Ivy League team or school of mixed martial arts at that point. It was myself, Giuliano Prado was there, Quentin Rampage Jackson, Razor Rob McCullough, Jason Miller, Tiki Goshen, Antonio McKee, Bao Quach, handful of other really high level black belt guys, Thomas Denny, Thomas the Wildman Denny. There was just a group of us that sort of became the hotbed of mixed martial arts in the coming years. You know, a lot of us had a lot of success as athletes, and mine was much shorter than some of theirs, obviously. But a lot of those guys transitioned into some of the more successful gyms in Southern California. Antonio McKee's got a great training center. Colin Oyama has continued to put out high level talent. Giuliano Prado opened up Total MMA and Brazilian Top Team Orange County, and they did some good mixed martial arts stuff, but have really solidified themselves in just a really thick market of high level grapplers as a superior program in that area. Razor Rob went on to go be one of the first WEC world champions, and there was just a lot of success. You know, Thomas Denny moved out to Colorado and opened up some successful gyms out of that team. And unfortunately for me, it was a little more short-lived. I made the choice to come back home to pursue that relationship again. And as much as it took me away from a competitor aspect, you know, I made the agreement that I wasn't going to pursue this as a mixed martial artist, but I parlayed the agreement that I would pursue it as a coach, you know. So I was a young head coach, 26, 27 years old when I founded my gym. And I was probably in the peak or midst of my athletic capabilities. And so I just poured that into this local, you know, opportunity that I had. I moved back towards Chicago, and I'm in the northwest suburbs, and I didn't really want to be a part of like somebody else's program. I had felt like I had my own vision for this, my own style for it. And there were some competitors, Jeff Curran, who is a black belt, a Pedro Sauer black belt, a high level black belt, and a successful mixed martial artist in his own right. Keith Hackney's was around, and a few other of these gyms, and I took them as competitors, and I wanted to establish our name and grow our brand. And so the first group of athletes that I had, I really poured a lot into and put a lot of pressure on and spent a lot of time on the mat and in the cage with them. And we had tremendous success. We had the first WEC world champion in Chase Beebe. He was a bantamweight champion, amazing wrestler, 4-time Illinois state champion, a great, fantastic mixed martial artists. Went on to fight in Dream, which was one of the earlier promotions in Japan. We had the first lightweight Strikeforce champion in Clay Guida. Clay Guida was a kid that I trained from his early professional career, him and his brother Jason Guida. And we came out of the gate real strong. We had some really strong athletes at a time in the sport where wrestling was dominating, and being from Illinois, my jiu-jitsu background, my early application of Muay Thai, the wrestling hotbed that we were just working and operating in created just this amazing formula for success in the sport. And we rode that wave, and created a bunch of really good athletes, guys like John Hossman and Ryan Williams, and some of these people who this gym and this area, their shoulders were carried and built this program on, and it was a really cool time. And then we had our second phase of athletes, and through that, Will Brooks was a standout. Will Brooks was 2-time Bellator world champion and at lightweight, and a kid that we had brought up from his amateur career. Ono couldn't throw a punch, never, his wrestling base turned out to be his greatest asset, but never had any wrestling credentials, was a football player, track star that we transitioned into a really high level successful mixed martial artist. And I knew at that point, like, it wasn't kind of lightning in a bottle. It was a formula that I had method. And I knew that I could recreate that. I knew that I could continue to create that level of talent. And I knew that we were capable of that. And that refined, I think, some of the process. And over the years, we've had, just a number of athletes. And in a little while here, I'll walk you guys through the gym. And we have a bunch of these guys with these banners, and that work that's been done, and it's cool. It's a cool testament to what's happened, our history, the athletes that we've collaborated with over the years, and the success that we've had. It's been and again, I was an early and a young head coach, so I learned a lot of really hard, valuable, painful lessons in this sport. I grew up in it, so to speak, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that experience. It's taught me a lot. It's helped me get to this point that I am today, which is a really successful position that we hold here in the Midwest and in Chicagoland area. You are coming up through this sport. You have come through these doors. You've trained with me and worked with our guys, and that's the reputation that we've had and built. It's been cool.
And like, in your experience, who are the sort of people who gravitate to your gym? What are the main reasons people train? Like, all the people who train with you got those aspirations of being high level competitors, or what sort of people come through?
I think in the beginning, it was certainly that. In the beginning, I think my main focus and 100% my goal was to work with and create high-level athletes in mixed martial arts competition. And we were pretty much a fight team, a fight gym exclusively. And we had built a reputation on that. We had accomplished many of these things. And a buddy of mine, one of my high school or grade school best friends, he really opened my eyes to the opportunity that we built and had, and you know, we had established ourselves as a high level mixed martial arts gym. And I have a really big facility. We've worked with these really big facilities. I've been fortunate in my business dealings to negotiate well enough to create good opportunities out of the spaces that we've used, you know. And so we've moved 3 times now. This is our 3rd location, and we've got over 10,000 square feet here. And my buddy, he really kind of took my eyes from just the fight team to a bigger possibility, you know, a gym, a training center, servicing all kinds of members and everybody. So he softened our look online and created a more palatable site for the general public, and really started to bring in a different member, you know. And at one point we were focusing on high level athletes, and probably turning business away, certainly, honestly. And at some point it turned into, you know, let's do less of that. And so we would gravitate towards, you know, people who are still interested, but more at a higher level. And that started to gravitate into people who were interested at any level, you know. Today, we have 4 years old starting in jiu-jitsu, 60 years old in the Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu, and Muay Thai classes. If you want to take it to the highest level of the sport and you want to see how far you can do and what you can accomplish in this, if you never want to get punched in the face, you know, we can service everybody from that and in between. And we have an amazing coaching staff today, and an amazing bunch of trainers and a bunch of good assistant coaches. And our programs and curriculums are really built on servicing anybody, you know. And again, it's years, so it's been a long time. We've had a lot of time to refine, you know, this approach and this system. And, you know, it's really just translated into from a fight team to a really successful business entity. And I'm much happier today with the ability to service our community in the manner that we can. You know, I can work with athletes and people who need some help, but I have the support through the business to be able to help some people out that need that, to be able to offer stuff to anyone, you know. And it's really been a blessing to me and changed the way that I've been able to interact with my community. And I'm grateful, you know, I'm really grateful. I spend a lot and often. Vinny Vasquez, he changed the face of this business, really with just, you know, without ever being on the mat or you know, using his own skill and his own view of what this could be. And it took some time, you know. At first, I think I was hesitant. I didn't want to lose, you know, that potency and what we had and who we were. And it took me a little while to realize it'll only grow and gain that rather than anything, you know. I just gained so much more. And so my perspective was the longest thing that took to change. But today, you know, I'm much quicker to pay attention to that. And the business has proven itself to be really successful, you know. So it's a cool transition, you know, a long one. But
I definitely think one of the benefits of having a high level team and still coaching people who maybe are more hobbyists, they can't train, you know, 7 days a week. Like, you're still teaching them in very effective ways. You're teaching them, so even if they can only train a few times a week, they're going to learn, you know, the most effective things, because they're really battle tested. Because you've got to use, you know, you've got to really make the most of that time with high level athletes. So, you know, with the people with less time, they're still going to progress more quickly than perhaps a team that doesn't have that kind of focus.
I've experienced that as well. And I say that to people, like, we test this out. We test this against the highest level competitors we can find on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, you know. And so even if it's not your thing, even if you're not looking for high level competition, there's no better place than to learn from these individuals, these instructors, these curriculums, these groups that are doing that are putting it to the test. There's no McDojo, you know, if you will, in anything that we do. It's the proof is in the pudding, you know, and quite literally written on the walls in here. And I think that that's a big testament to what we're doing, and the success that we have. And again, you say, like you say, you know, the quality of training that we put out, we've developed that reputation exactly for that. So it's been really cool. And I do think that most people also, like, they enjoy, you know, oh, hey, we get to watch, you know, fights this weekend, and one of our guys, you know, is going to be on there. And even at the highest levels in Bellator and UFC and in PFL and all these bigger shows, we still have athletes that we bring to that caliber and that level of the sport, you know? And that brings a cool atmosphere and camaraderie to the gym. You know, everybody gets to celebrate, and they're a part of that. You know, a small part of them is a part of that success. You know, and that has a lot of weight, and I'm grateful for that. That's an honor for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when, say, someone's new and they've kind of found your site, they get in contact, how does that process go from like them first getting in touch to them having their first class?
So what we do is, again, my partner Vinny, he's done a great job of creating really good communication between the website and the prospect, you know. So we'll reach out to them usually within a few hours, but no more than 24 hours. You know, thank them for their email, for their inquiry, invite them in for a free trial class. We used to do a free week, and it got a little bit carried away. People were taking more advantage of that, and so we also really know our product now and our value and what we have. So we go to a free trial class, and in that you can take 2 and 3 classes in an evening or in an afternoon and an evening. And if you got to do the Muay Thai and the Jiu-Jitsu, but you really want to try the boxing before you make up your mind, it's no problem. We'll let them come in and hit it up for the class and stuff. But we let them try it out, sign a waiver, try out the class. We try to push them towards a lower level 1, or any of the jiu-jitsu is our jiu-jitsu coach has got an amazing curriculum and structure. So he's really capable of dealing with just really low level and the higher belts in the class at the same time. And in our Muay Thai and boxing, we've got several assistants. We've got big class numbers typically. So that's good and bad. You know, there's this fear, there's this angst of just at the door, you see them and you know, and I usually try to just literally grab them by their hand and pull them in. And then once they've had the experience, you know, they realize, like, man, they're a part of this thing. First it feels like, oh man, you know, I'm on the outside here, and it doesn't take long before, you know, you overcome those. Those are usually internal insecurities. Do I belong here? Is this too much for me? What is this? What's going on? And we have a really friendly family atmosphere. And I acknowledge that. So I try to dispel that really quickly with people and have a personable approach, and have our coaches, you know, available and engaging and interacting and looking for people that they don't recognize to kind of make them feel comfortable. And so we've had that approach, you know, and it's worked really well. I don't know what our conversion rate is. It's something, you know, huge. My office manager's got better information on that. I am not amazing at the technical or the administrative. I am a passionate, talented coach and trainer. I'm gifted. I'm blessed with the ability to communicate my skills and translate into these athletes and see that immediate success in that. And so I focus my areas in that particular arena, and I've acquired good help along the way that's helped me build this business. I certainly haven't done it on my own. There's many people that over the years, 19 years, that we a debt of gratitude for their hard work and their contribution that's built what Midwest Training Center is today. So we try to really make them feel comfortable, get them in, let them have an experience. And then, you know, usually if they're not like ready to sign up right there, we'll reach out within the next couple of days, and, you know, they become part of our mailing list, and we do offers throughout the year and stuff. And we hope, you know, that they take advantage of those opportunities and just get in and get started on their training. It's a journey, you know what I mean? And some people they need more coaxing along the way, but once you start, it changes you, you know, it's obviously changed you, you know, and brought you to seeing these other things, which were never probably a part of what you were thinking about when you started training jiu-jitsu or pursuing this, you know. And then it fire, and one thing leads to the next. And more than anything, that's what I get to do here, is take somebody from one place in their life to the next, you know. Not all of them turn into these great, amazing athletes, but you go from this space where maybe you're struggling to fit in or figure this or that out, or need a place to punch and kick and strangle someone, you know. And then you transition after a few years to this other place where you had a good outlet for some of these feelings and issues and hurdles in our life, and you found positive ways to manage those things, and that carries over and bleeds into the rest of your life. And we transition so many young men and women to this successful place. And every so often, God will bless me with some amazing high caliber athlete that we can take to the highest levels of the sport. You know, it's a really cool thing that we get to see happen here.
Yeah. And how do you find it with the parents of children, like when they're deciding to put their kids in? What are maybe the reasons that they do that, and what is it that the kids benefit from?
So right now our kids program has been on just a huge uptick. I brought in last year a friend of mine. I've known him for 10 years now, Euclides Oliveira. Euclides is a 3rd degree black belt under Murilo Bustamante, a 3-time IBJJF world champion. He's got multiple credentials. There's different types of black belts. I have a black belt. I am a black belt. I spent years and years on the mat, and I can uphold that ranking. You know, my teaching is much better than my practice today. I'm 46 years old, so some of that you know has faded. But Junior is a high level competitor and an amazing teacher, and he came up under through Giuliano Prado, who is both of our instructors, and they have 180 some children as a part of their kids program, not just members. This is just their kids program. So he's got a phenomenal curriculum and patience and vision for that program, and he's done an amazing job with it. We have just maybe tripled our numbers in the kids program since July, you know. So such a huge increase, and he's really kind of headed that whole thing up. And I'll tell you right now, in Illinois, in the Midwest, you know, like many states around this country, there's, you know, kids who are feeling insecure, kids who are being bullied, kids who are needing some discipline and some structure and some curriculum. You know, there's a variety of reasons why we see someone coming in here. And what we see through it is this amazing connection that these kids can make with jiu-jitsu, and then this awesome interaction that their parents, they start to recognize, because we really have the majority of the parents, they stay and watch these kids train, and they're invested in it, and so they're seeing their kids work through some stuff, get mounted, and there's some tears, you know, but this is exactly what it's supposed to be. And Junior Euclides Jr. has a beautiful approach to the jiu-jitsu, and it's similar to my approach to the MMA, so I recognized it right away. Small victories and small defeats, you know, really build character. So I'll match athletes, and I'll find one that's at a certain level of fatigue, but a certain skill level, and one that's at a lower level of fatigue, and lower skill level, and I'll try to even them, you know, and the lower level athlete recognizes, hey, I'm doing good against this guy who I know is better than me. That does for you, you know, and like vice versa, when a higher level athlete is getting the better of them by someone, they start to recognize, hey, you know, my skill level only translates to as much as I have fuel in the tank, you know, and there's a diminishing rate. There's a diminishing, there's a finite amount of energy that each of us have. And so he does the same thing with the kids. He'll get a kid that's maybe feeling a little high on themselves and challenge them to a point where they have to really humble themselves and recognize, you know, hey, levels this, and then vice versa. He'll take that same kid and get them a win. So small wins and small defeats and working through some of these things is such an amazing thing to see these children participate doing that. And I immediately recognized what he was doing, and so I immediately talked to him about it. And it's a tactic that he uses, and it's a tactic I think that good coaches use. To build and level the playing field. You want to encourage your athletes to have a sense of accomplishment and an ego in a manner, so to speak, but it's got to be a healthy one. An unhealthy ego is a dangerous situation and a dangerous thing in this sport and in all combat sports. So good coaches find ways to curb those and develop those in those who don't have them. And see that in this program, and I see him utilizing that, and it's awesome. It's so cool to witness and recognize and talk to him about, because it wasn't something that we had discussed. It wasn't something that I necessarily knew to describe or put my finger on until I saw, you know, this occurring at a 6 and 5 and 8 and 11-year-old. And that's what's cool. We have 4-year-olds to 11-year-olds, and we don't have the 11-year-olds training with the 4-year-olds, but we have the 11-year-olds training with the 8-year-olds, and the 8-year-olds training with the 6-year-olds, and 4-year-olds training with the 6-year-olds. And so as long as you have a really good understanding of what's going on, you can certainly grow and keep a good control in a healthy environment in that class. And that's not anything to do with 30 and 40 kids, which is what our kids classes look like. But for every 10, we tap a new assistant coach, and we bring somebody in a blue belt, a purple belt from our program, and bring them down and have them help out. So that way we have about a 1 to 10 ratio of coaches and assistant coaches for the kids. And it's cool to see the parents, and I don't know that the parents recognize this, but we are doing a real service for them by challenging them in that way and giving them those wins. I see the children who have the attention issues that we create this environment for at least an hour that they have to observe certain rules and certain expectations. And there are consequences of, you know, hey, you don't get to grapple, or hey, you got to sit against the wall and watch, you know, until you can control yourself to the point where you can participate and not be a distraction to everybody else. And so, you know, it's cool to see that going on. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see. We're 6 months into this thing, and we have ambition to have, you know, 100 kids by this time next year. And I think a reasonable ambition.
Yeah. That's really nice to know that there's so much goes into, you know, like really coaching. Because I think that's something where you can, you know, if you're just going blindly off a curriculum, and like you said, maybe the parents watching, they won't notice all of those individual, you know, subtle things that you're doing, but they're going to notice the difference over a period of months in how their child feels about this sport and how their self-esteem changes. And I think those things really compound over time. So that's really cool. I mean, I guess if you're, you know, teaching, you know, high level people, you really need to, you know, think about the mindset you're creating in them. So it's nice to see that same kind of attention translates down to the kids classes as well. That's really cool.
This is exactly how I felt. I was like, man, this is amazing to see another high level coach, you know, utilizing a similar method and with children, and it works. You know what I mean? Like it's really cool. It was a cool thing that I recognized and picked up, and had a really nice opportunity to discuss it with Professor Euclides, and it's awesome. You know, those kids are a part of a really cool program, and we know it, the parents know it, and the growth, the rate of growth on the program is showing. And we're about to hit our first tournament with some of these kids. You know, we wanted to give a good 6 month of this, and I don't have a ton of huge expectations, although we have some really decent, talented young kids who come from a wrestling background and have some grappling skills, and will supplement, you know, wrestling and jujitsu and gymnastics, which in my opinion are the 3 key elements to a kid having just tremendous success. A child under the age of 12, you know, is jujitsu, wrestling, and gymnastics. And I think gymnastics is the first necessity. There's a really awesome wrestling coach and character, Kerry Kolak. He is a high-level guy, well-known within the wrestling industry. And I saw a video that he did, and he said, like, you know, I prefer kids to not even get into wrestling until they're 7 or 8 years old and they've had 3 or 4 years of gymnastics. And I thought, huh, that's interesting. And he explained specifically why. You have to learn to control your own body before you control someone else's. And that resonated so true with me, and I felt really motivated by that. And I've been prescribing, if you will, that combination. You know, hey, what else can we do for our kid? You know, get him into a wrestling program, but before that, get him into jujitsu, boy or girl. You know, when these kids can do handsprings and backflips and their tumbling is amazing, that is full control of their own body. Now they're prepared to take on the challenge of trying to control someone else's body. And I thought that was just phenomenal. And so it's something that I've held on to and utilized, and all credit to Kerry, because he, you know, pointed that out. I'm sure, like any other great thing, he's not the only one who realized that. He heard it from somewhere, or, you know, as well. But it's an important distinction, I think, and a valuable combination.
Yeah. Well, now, man, it'd be great to have a little look see the academy, see what it's actually like. And
I've got a small Muay Thai running right now, so you might hear a little punching and kicking. I got 1 or 2 people in here. We got an 11 a.m. that we do. So here is our entrance where you'll come in, and we're in a warehouse industrial park. We've got about 10,000 square feet, and we've got a full locker room. So we've got some showers in here, some cubbies around the corner. Here's where everybody leaves their shoes, because I really try to keep everybody's feet off of all of our training surfaces. Here is our main training center. This is where we do all of our striking, all of our Muay Thai, all of our boxing. Here's our bags. We've got a couple of cages back here, 2 full-size cages, 20 and 24, 22 and 24 feet, 2 full-size rings. We've got these are 20-foot boxing rings, and a huge mat space for all of our striking areas. And here's all of our banners of some of the athletes that we've worked with over the years that have made it to that next level, that UFC, that WEC, that Bellator, that PFL or Dream, Strike Force, all of the higher level promotions within the sport. And to be honest, probably a few more that we could have put up there that maybe we didn't want to necessarily associate ourselves with completely. But here's a couple. This is one of my coaches, Mikey, one of our students, Joe, and I'll roll us into our grappling room. We've got a full-size wrestling room. This is probably about a mat and a half in an Olympic mat or a wrestling room. Our Brazilian top team, BTT Schaumburg. This was my jiu-jitsu lineage, my coach, Junior Euclides Oliveira's jiu-jitsu lineage. This is our Brazilian top team, Schaumburg, and my coach Junior's logo, his own little brand. So this is where we do all of our grappling, all of our wrestling. We've got a couple of pieces of cardio equipment, nothing too crazy, just so our athletes make sure that they're on weight. We do have a little sauna that we have built for in-house.
Oh, cool.
To make sure that our athletes stay on weight. There's a TV in there so we can do some research on some video and have our coaches and athletes all on the same page. Altogether, it's probably a little bit more than 10,000 square feet. We've been just growing and adding. You know, this is our third building, our third location, and we've been at it for a minute now. So we just keep growing in size and keep needing more space, and you know, pretty soon we'll either buy this building or have to do something like that. You know what I mean? If we keep growing at the rate we are, that's the whole. You know.
Awesome. No, that looks great, man. It's definitely a high level place.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It allows us to prepare for everything we need. We have some really high level Muay Thai guys. We have some high level boxers. We have some high level cage fighters. So it allows us a space to be able to prepare them for the rules, the environment, the circumstances, the situation that they're going to deal with. You know, if we got an athlete fighting in a ring, we got 2 rings. If we got an athlete fighting in a cage, we've got 2 cages. And it makes for sparring to be really successful. I'm able to run, 20, 24 athletes in 50 minutes. Everybody can get 6 rounds. And, that's a lot of sparring. And that's a lot of work that we can get done in a short period of time. We fight for 15, and 25 minutes. 9 minutes as an amateur, 15 minutes as a pro, and 25 minutes if you're blessed enough to be in a high level or a championship situation. So you don't really want to extend these. Now the body of work is important, but like I say, there's a finite amount of energy, and you've got to be really intelligent about where and how you spend that, not just in the fight, but more importantly in training. It prepares for your distribution of your energy for that fight. And important to gauge that. At the highest levels, they're like, oh, this guy's not in shape, or this guy gassed out. And it's like, man, some people have no idea the mental, the emotional, the physical situation that these athletes are put in. And it's like, oh, he sucked, he gassed. And it's like, man, so you got to have an understanding of what this is. And not many people do. There's a lot of armchair coaches and quarterbacks and people out there, especially in this industry. And, it's just to get to these levels, man, you've put in so much work already. And just to get acknowledged is often just a blessing, man. So, I'm grateful for my position, for my place here, for my opportunity here, man. I try to not take it for granted. I try to look through it through those eyes every day. And it's been amazing, man. It's been a blessing, man. I'm grateful to still be here and still be growing and learning and progressing
That's awesome, man. And what would you say if someone's watched through this and they're still not sure kind of about training? They're maybe a bit on the fence. Is there anything you'd say to someone like that?
I'd say that most of the things that we are apprehensive about, that we're fearful of, we're nervous of, they come with that type of a situation, and there's greatness on the other side of that. Whatever it is that you're concerned about, you're apprehensive about, asking the girl to dance, taking this job opportunity, pursuing this relationship, pursuing this career, pursuing this avenue. Fear is, you talk yourself out of so much, and the times in your life you did take that chance, you did roll the dice, you did make that effort are the times in your life where it's created the path that you're on now, you know. And there's greatness on the other side of that fear. And you got to conquer that, you know. You've got to overcome that. And that's what it takes is, you know, is your effort. And we here at MTC will meet anybody halfway, you know. I'll get you to this door and I'll see your hesitation and I'll grab you by your hand and I'll pull you through. And once you've had that experience, you realize, like, man, you know, there is this level of intimidation that we operate under in life, in this world, in every aspect, you know. To learn to overcome that physically at a place that's prepared to help you do that, that's much easier than some of these other levels and layers of intimidation that you'll have to overcome. But you'll have that experience now. We'll give you that experience of having a fearful, a concerning start, and then a successful transition into your journey that you'll take that will change the way that you see and feel and act. And this is just, you know, walking into a gym. Like, you know, life will give you so many other challenges. But I'm grateful to be able to be a part of that experience. And I think, like I say, many, you know, people, they come in here and this is what I get to do. You know, I get to be a part of that journey. I get to be a part of someone that encourages you to go from here to, you know, and I love seeing that. You know, I love seeing that. Most of the greatest success stories aren't those banners on the wall, although those are amazing testimonies. They are somebody that you never heard of. You'll never hear of some guy that transitioned, some girl that found her confidence, some kid that is no longer, you know, unpopular and in a shell. And, you know, those are the success stories that 19 years of this business has. And that's the blessing I get. That's the true, you know, reward that I have today. For the longest time, it was some athlete and some accomplishment, you know, and that's always great. That's always great. But as much as you have that, man, you have some real heartbreak and some real disappointment. And people are humans and we're full of flaws. And I try to remember that, you know, but it feels real tough sometimes when you take that personal and you've had this experience and someone has taken advantage or disrespected, you know, some effort or work that you've done or put in, and you know, that's a part of life. I think we all can experience that. You know, I'm grateful that it didn't leave me jaded enough to not be willing to give to the next person and to be willing to try again, you know. And I'm grateful for the 19 years. I'm grateful for the ups and downs. I'll be excited to celebrate 20, you know, and I'm looking forward to, you know, literally 20 more. Like, I'll probably still be old enough or young enough to be able to participate, you know, and that'll be awesome. You know, I've spent more than half my life in this, and man, I'm blessed for it. You know, it's been a journey.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for this. This has been really cool to hear about, you know, your journey through it, and your kind of enthusiasm is very, like infectious. I can really feel how much you love it. So
awesome, man.
That's awesome. Thank you.
The opportunity to be able to talk to a guy like you, to be featured on your, you know, your show. I'm grateful for the experience, man. And if you ever find yourself in the Midwest, I know you've got a couple friends around here, and you've certainly got a place to come here and train and hang out and participate, man. Open invitation for you, George. I appreciate you, brother. It's great to meet you, and good luck, man. The best with brother. I feel like you're onto something, and me likewise. I feel your passion, and I'm grateful to connect with you, man.
Awesome. Thank you.